Welcome everyone to Author Tidbits. Today I was going to say the late, the great, but you're not dead. So we'll just start with the great Deborah and the Hathaway, which I don't know why, but when I say your full name, I always have to say either Deborah M or Deborah McBride. Usually it's McBride, right. Hathaway, because that's just kind of how I know you. I don't even know. Because are you McBride on Facebook? Is that why?
I think I am, yeah. My personal
that's probably
one.
why.
Yep.
Because I was like, it's not on your book, so it's not.
How do I know her maiden name?
Yeah. I know. That's what I always think of. Although that's how I know most people is Facebook. So then I'm always like,
the whole name.
You're the whole name. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So anyway, she's here joining me today, which is super nice of her.
I'm very excited.
We are going to talk about one of her favorite subjects today, and that is Cornwall.
Yes.
Because I find it fairly interesting, your obsession with it. I can't say that there's any one place in the world that I am as fascinated with, I think, as you are with Cornwall.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like, I have places that I like.
Yeah.
And that I go, oh, yeah, I really like that. We should go there. Like, I do love England. England. And I want to take my family there so bad. So
yes,
we're working on that. But, like,
awesome.
I don't know that I can say that I love it quite as much as you love it.
Maybe I'm just a little too vocal, a little too crazy about it. Style it back.
So you're going to convert me today.
I'm so excited and I'm so ready. I can convert anyone.
Yes. Did you do a little Rocky training in order to get ready for this?
I did. I listened to some Poldark actually.
We do not even want to get started on Poldark, right?
Unfortunately, that's like the segue into Cornwall. So we're going to have to mention a little bit of Poldark, Mindy.
Okay. All right, bring it on me. So I guess my only question currently is this obsession. We're going to call it that, right?
That's fairly accurate.
Okay. You haven't always had it though, right?
No.
Okay. So how long ago did it develop?
When I first started watching Poldark, I think it was in 2015. Because before, my husband obviously is from England. So we've been there a few times and he's like, I think you'd really like Cornwall. We're going to go to Cornwall. And I think I've told this story to you before, but I can't remember. But when I was younger, I watched, have you seen Quest for Camelot?
Possibly.
It's a super old cartoon, whatever, romance kind of thing. And it's like they have these two dragons and their names, it's like a two-headed dragon. And their names are Devon and Cornwall. And I remember not liking the dragon named Cornwall. And he just drove me nuts. And so I'm like, ugh, Cornwall, it's such an ugly name. And then I found out they were named after the places in England. And I was like, yeah, I'm never going to go to Cornwall for that very reason. So my husband's telling me, like, we need to go to Cornwall. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't need to see Cornwall. Yeah. I'm like, what an ugly place, because it's named after an ugly little dragon. And then he tried both times when we went. And then I just kept on putting him off because, I'm a stubborn fool. And then I went to, and then I had my second baby. And everyone's like, I think it was my in-laws. They were like, you should watch the show. And I was like, we'll see. I didn't have anything to do after having my second baby. And so I saw it on Amazon and I was like, fine, I'll just try it. So I watched the first 30 seconds of it and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. And then I saw the opening scene where they show where they have the credits and stuff, the opening theme where the song is on. And I saw like the images of Cornwall and the sea. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was from that moment on, I was like, is this Cornwall? How the devil have I not been there? How have I not seen this? So from that moment on, I was like so sold. And then when we went, I was so worried that it was like not going to live up to all my hyped up fantasies and expectations, but it like far surpassed everything I could have ever dreamed of seeing. And it was even more beautiful than like the photoshopped version and edited version that I'd seen on Poldark. And I was like, how is this place even real? It's just, so since like 2015-ish, I think that was the year. And then
so interesting.
That's
it. And it really wasn't necessarily Poldark himself. It was the countryside.
I mean, he helped. No, he definitely helped, but it was 100% Cornwall. Like I love Poldark because of Aidan Turner, let's be honest, because he's a dummy in the show. And I mean, the character's a dummy, and Aidan Turner just makes him like lovable. But it was 100% Cornwall, just the land and the next to the sea, and just it's just so perfect.
Yeah. Okay, this is a slight tangent, but I do find it interesting that things we have as children can make such an impact on us.
Yes, like huge.
Like huge. Like I remember I had a coloring book of Huey and Louie, and they were at a carnival, and one of them fell out of the sky ride. And they were all holding on to him. To this day, I have, like, my kids, when we get on the sky ride, I like put both my arms and I like push, and they're like, but we want to see over. I'm like, no, you may not lean forward. Sit still and quit rocking it.
You will not fall like the ducks.
Yes, freaks me out. But same thing. I mean, you almost lost out on an entire county.
Yeah. And like a place that just makes me feel so wonderful just because of that. Yeah. Like it's unreal. It's so crazy what your mind can do.
When you very first got there, we've talked about this before.
Yes.
Was it like a feeling of home?
Yes. Like, and I think that's how I feel with all of England, like generally, just because and I mean, you know, the feeling as well. Like, it's just that there's something familiar about it. There's just that pull. It's the accents and everything else. And I think I was so stressed with so many things. Like I've said, I've had anxiety and OCD and depression and all the things. But like when I went to England, I was like very much distracted in a way that I could finally like pull out of it. And then when I went to Cornwall, like we drove in through Dartmoor, I think. And like those first few images where we had first gone into, it's not like anything spectacular. And there was like roadworks on the side. And I was like, oh, this isn't very nice. I'm like, please be as good as I want it to be. And then as soon as we went to like to see the mines and stuff, but we went to Land's End, and it's like the furthest west you can get in England. And as soon as we went there during the day, and it was really busy, and I was like, man, this is amazing. But afterwards we went there, the exact same place where no one else was, to see the sunset. And so there were just those few people there who were there to keep to themselves, to be quiet and to enjoy the sunset as well. So we sat there. My kids had fallen asleep, so I'd finally been able to like chill. And I was walking along the pathway by myself, and it was like the first time I'd ever felt just such perfect peace in my life. And it was so wonderful, and just like I could just feel myself coming down. And usually like I have to be like wrapped up in a blanket with hot chocolate watching Poldark in order to come down, but it was like real life. And so it was just so special. It was just so special. And it was like, and now, like, I think it had been 5 years since I had been the first time to when I went just this last time in September. And my husband's like, do you think like you maybe have hyped it up a little bit? And I'm like, I might have done. And I was so worried and I was so stressed. But like we came from a different section in Dartmoor again. And like, it was so misty and so cloudy and so like magical. But the second we broke through those clouds, we saw Cornwall, and the sun just parted, and there were beams of sunlight shining right on. And I'm like,
angels saying.
That's exactly what it was. It was exactly that. And I was like, okay, yep, we're back. I didn't imagine how amazing this is. I didn't imagine my feelings. And it was just, there's just a special vibe there. I just can't.
Does Christian feel the same way?
Yes. He's like that way with all of England, luckily. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, because it's his home, but he feels the same way about Cornwall, where it's just, I think more than anything, he likes how I am there, and he likes seeing how like crazy I am there, kind of. But no, he feels this. I think it's every place in England he feels that, because it's just being home, and he loves the food there, and it's just wonderful, and he's so happy there. It's so lovely.
Which I get that. I just wondered if like, because which county is he from?
He's from Lancashire, so up north.
Up north. So I was just wondering if if he was still more rooting for Lancashire, or if he was.
Yeah, so he's got special memories of Cornwall because he used to go there on holiday with his family. So he's got those wonderful memories and stuff. So I think he prefers the north, just because that's where his home is, and he loves like the stone walls and everything. But I think he's not as insane about Cornwall as I am, but it's close.
Well, I'm not sure if that's possible.
I don't think so either.
I think you kind of
crazy.
So your kids are now getting old enough, right?
Yep.
And they went with you in September, didn't they?
Yeah. So we haven't been. I think the first time we went without kids because I didn't have any. But every single time I've taken my kids because, again, anxiety, can't leave them.
You and me both. Yeah. I have that same thing. Yeah.
And that's why it takes so much money and so much time and so much planning to go there.
Yeah. Because I'm like, that's an ocean. Yeah. Lots can happen crossing an ocean and not leaving my kids with.
I know.
To be orphaned.
I know. It's so stressful.
I know. I know. That's why I had forgotten. That's why we were kindred spirits.
Yep. Yeah.
But now they're getting older because your oldest is like over 10.
She's 9. Yep. She's almost 10. Yeah. Yep.
So do you see this kind of your love transferring to them?
Yes. That's like, because all I ever talk about is usually Cornwall. And so they're like, oh, I wish we could go to England and Cornwall again. And oh, I wish we could have Cornish pasties again by the sea. And it's usually they all talk and they've all like latched onto it. And they had so much fun because the places we went, like they're not necessarily like child friendly because it's like cliff drops, you know.
Right.
And
it's pretty rugged.
Exactly. Yeah. And people are usually like, you don't like taking them to playgrounds and stuff. And I'm like, I didn't spend $3 million to come to a playground in England. But I was like, so we go and we make it fun and we make it have be more of an adventure. I think hopefully we were able to make it like, hey, this is a big deal. This is a lot of money and this is really, really special experience. Yeah. And I think they felt that, even the youngest, I think they feel that it is like a special thing to be able to go like to a different country altogether,
right,
and experiencing all the things. And one of my favorite memories was when we were at the Crown's engine houses, and like above there near Wheel Owls, I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm not positive, but they have these like where the women used to break down the ore, and they have like these tunnels in between all of these rows of little rooms. So like we get there and my kids just went whew, and just disappeared into all these random tunnels and holes and all these little rooms. And I'm like trying to be like chill about it, but I'm like, this is a mine. And I'm like, what if like they fall down a shaft and everything? So we're like running after them, trying to find them, but they just had the best time ever. And then we eventually found them like on top of the houses that they were able to climb on and everything. So it was stressful then, but now I look back at it and I'm like, how amazing that these kids are like running around and playing in the places where other kids used to like work, like to like through rain and mud storms, like mud and everything. Like it's so special and it's so wonderful. I love having the kids there.
That's awesome.
It makes a difference. Yeah.
Now, do you have any books that are not set in Cornwall?
Yeah, I do. Of course I do. I've got I think I have like half of them.
Really?
Maybe. I think. Yeah, because my husband, he's like, don't set this one in Cornwall. Come on. Like you can stretch yourself. And I'm like, fine. It's ridiculous. So the only ones set in Cornwall are my series. And then I've got like all of my maps, I think, are not set in Cornwall. I think every one of my
but I thought your one that you just did is in Cornwall.
Except for that one.
Okay. I was gonna say because I thought that Mount
Mount
St.
Michael's.
Yeah, Mount St. Michael's. I was like, I know it's in a double M, but now I can't remember.
Yes.
Because I thought that was Cornwall, right?
Yes. My bad. Yeah, I totally forgot about that one. The other map.
I mean, the one you just released that you worked on for a year. I totally forgot that one.
I'm like blocking things from my memory.
But no more.
Seriously though.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I know my son told me the other day, I think maybe you should go back and read your books again so that you remember them better. I was like, yeah, whatever.
I was talking this weekend at Storymakers. I was talking to some bookstagrammers and I was like, they were talking about one of the scenes that they really liked in The Waves of Tristwick. And I was like, and I had only released that in January of last year. So it's only been about a year and a half. But I'm like, in author years, that's like 700 years. And so I'm like, they were telling me about the scene and I was like, I have no memory of it. And they had to describe it more in detail before I actually remembered what it was, because it's so hard, because we kind of have to literally shelve it in our minds so we can move on to the next characters. Because if we're still thinking about them, like it's going to merge with the new characters and it's not going to work. But
I know I was writing one and I was like, as I was editing, I was like, where is this part? Where is this part? And then I was like, oh, it's not in this book. Huh. Well, there we go.
Look at that.
Okay, look at that. But it's totally true. I've been doing some, I just got an audio book back. So I was listening to it, to review it. And I was like, I wrote this. That's interesting. Don't remember thinking of that.
That's pretty clever.
Way to go, me. I'm not sure I thought anything was overly clever, but still there were times I was like, I wonder how I came up with that.
Isn't that funny? Because it's so rare when you're reading through like the book you're working on, you're like, this is just utter garbage. There's nothing good in this. And then going back, it's like, oh, that was pretty good. Like the whole book isn't all entirely like throwawayable. It's like, it's so funny.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of the reason we feel that way is by the time it publishes, read it or listened to it like 10 times.
Yeah.
And how many books do you really like after 10 times? Right. One right after another.
Yeah. And what we're doing is we're looking for everything that's wrong.
Yeah.
And beta readers are looking for everything that's wrong. And editors are looking for everything that's wrong.
Yeah.
So that's all we're fed for months as we're writing it. So it's like, here's everything that's wrong with you as a person, because you're the one who wrote this book. So it's so hard.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. I had it with this book as I was editing. I was just like, I seriously think this might be garbage.
Yeah. That's how I was with To Know Miss May. That's why I blocked it. I'm like, I don't even know what's in this book right now. And I just know it's bad. And so I'm just going to not think about it anymore.
I had the sequel, like it was going to come out in August.
Yeah.
Because it's already been written twice, but now it's going to have to be almost rewritten the third time because it's being changed so much. And I was like, okay, I got to hurry. And I was like, I just can't.
Yeah.
It's not up for pre-order. It's being
that's so nice.
Pushed to the side for a minute.
Yeah. So that's so much nicer.
Anyway, that was kind of a detour from Cornwall. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. So within Cornwall, is there a favorite place?
I've been asked this and I can't answer it. I have a top few favorites because it's like, and they're favorites for different reasons too, because there's so many. It's just the whole freaking county. It's just perfect. It's just perfect.
Have you been to Devon?
I have not. Wait, I've driven through Devon. Yeah, to get.
So how different is it? Because they're right next to each other, right?
Yes, I can't say I've spent enough time in Devon to say what's different with it, but I know that they are very distinctly, like, if you're from Cornwall, you are very proudly Cornish, because some of them feel like they should be their own country kind of thing, because they've got their own language and have their own, like, they're just like this teeny tiny little micro culture in England, and it's just wonderful. But so I can't say
they're similar to the Welsh in that regard, right? I mean, they still have their own language and for sure. Yeah, so I can't say. I know the landscape's slightly different, and as you get further south, it opens up, and like with the mines and the landscape and everything. But there are probably more similarities than I am aware of. So is Cornwall the further one west?
Yep, it's at the very far.
So do you have to drive through Devon to get to Cornwall, or can you get to it through a different county?
I think you can get through it. Maybe it is just Devon. I think it's Somerset. Is it Somerset?
I don't know. I have my map right
here. It might just be solely Devon on the top border of Cornwall.
I think it is.
Is it just Devon?
Yeah, it looks like it. That's interesting. So, which I think it's so interesting because, like, if you look at Cornwall, I mean, the cliffs are like so craggy and so
Yes.
like sharp and harsh almost.
Yes.
But yet you go to Brighton and you see those like smooth cliffs. They're still, I mean, they're still high and you'd probably do some damage if you fell off them.
Yeah.
But at least you wouldn't be like shredded on the way down like you would in Cornwall.
Crashing your head over and over again. Exactly.
They're like slicing you open with those sharp, craggy rocks. But I just think it's so interesting because really and truly, you're not like really far apart.
No, it's like a few hours.
If even that. And to have such that vastly different, I think is so interesting.
Yeah, it's so different. That's one of the reasons why I love Cornwall too, because of like that rugged landscape. Because it's so softened by the flowers and like the sea pinks and stuff, and just how lush and green it is, and like with the yellow gorse and stuff. But like it is like those cliff sides, they're just rugged and just wonderful.
Is it windy?
Oh yeah.
All the time?
As far as I'm aware, I think our friends went in April and it was crazy. We've been in September and it's crazy, and we went in May and it's crazy. So I think it's like bitter, chilly, cold wind, obviously in the winter. But I think just like being near the cliffs, since they're like by the sea and stuff, I think it's always windy there, but not like always very intensely.
Well, and if you look at it, it's like jutting out.
Yeah.
And like Devon at least has some of the upper part of Wales to buffer some of that sea wind, I would guess. Whereas Cornwall is just like hanging out there in the open.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I've got no hope.
No, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
So do you speak any Cornish?
I wish I could. I know some words. I used to know some phrases, and then they just went out of my head the second you asked me.
So, okay, how did they keep their, I mean, because my guess is it's still stemming back from like the Saxon times when they had all their, I mean, they really weren't a united country. They each had their own kingdoms and they were their own. Is it like, does it have like that Celtic or the Gaelic base, like Wales and Scotland and Ireland kind of thing?
Yeah, I think I remember reading that there's some type of Celtic base to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. I think it's Celtic or Gaelic. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's Celtic because they're closer. And so back when, I can't remember the king's name.
Sorry, I didn't mean to like put you on the spot here.
No, you're fine. It's fine. I once knew it.
But it was something that you had to move out of your head so that you could put some other research in for
Exactly. Yeah. So there was once during like that time, they had the king tried to wipe every language out. And so little by little, it fed from like London and just wiped out the language as they brought like the Bible. I want to say it was Henry VIII, but don't quote me on that because he seemed like the type of crazy person to do that kind of stuff. So they brought the Bible in and they said everybody has to speak English and everything. So they used to all speak just straight Cornish, and then little by little it fed so they could only speak English, and like they'd be like, I think they had like a war between them to try to keep the Cornishmen Cornish and everything. And so like the Cornish language almost died out and there were just a few native speakers still. But in the last 50 years, it started to make a revival. So now they're teaching it in a few classes and schools there, and more people are speaking it now, which is cool. So
I think I read that about Wales too.
Probably
happened at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Where the languages almost went extinct.
Which would just be horrible.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah. Just wipe
those
out
crazy
culture.
Kings.
I know. What the heck?
If only they knew.
I know. So dumb.
What their crazy policies would do in the future. That's cray.
And all of us criticize them for it.
So pasties, are they strictly Cornish? I know you can get them all over England, but did they only come from Cornwall, or are Cornish pasties different than English pasties?
So they're pronounced pasties.
Or pasties.
For the
I
record.
do know that. I do know that actually.
I knew you
but
did.
when
That's
we
why I
went
was
to
joking.
England, that's what my dad always called them, was pasties. And then we
So
would laugh
cute.
and laugh and laugh because we were kids, and
Yeah.
at the time,
Oh,
pasties
Dad.
were something else.
So
So
funny.
anyway,
I'll correct that for the viewers just so they know.
So anyway, but
Excuse
yes,
me,
so
clean romance.
I did not go into detail. You can
It's
Google
fine.
it. That's what the Googles are for.
Yeah,
Anywho.
so they had there's like some debate about where they started, but the
Wow.
Cornish like to say that they started them. And that's what I believe as well. I think they are around, like certain pasties are around, and there are different versions and stuff, but you can only legally call a Cornish pasty if it's made in Cornwall. So there's like, we've got like this company down in Salt Lake where they literally cannot call them Cornish pasties because they're not created in Cornwall. But yeah, they were created back when for the miners.
I was going to say probably
have
they could take it down into the mines, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just this hearty meal. It keeps you full and it's easy to eat without it all crumbling and falling to bits.
Well, and really they could put anything in it. So they could make also dessert ones, or,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So they typically had like just like potatoes and meat and that kind of stuff to make it as hearty as they could to make them last throughout the day. Because they didn't have, I think they had only like 30 minutes for lunchtime, some of the men, and they'd have to work like they started work before light and they ended work so it was like a 12-hour shift almost. So they had one break for lunch.
And they probably ate in the mine, didn't they?
I've heard both.
I would guess it would probably depend how deep they were.
Yeah. I think it depends probably on the owners and and where they were located in the mine, as well as like the mine, whatever. Because I've read a lot of them where they were allowed to come up and get the fresh air and eat and that kind of stuff. But then I just recently read that they brought the pasties down into the mines with them and ate as they were working still. So I think it just depends on the mine.
Yeah. What mines are there?
Like, what do they mine?
Yes.
So there's copper and tin mostly.
I was going to say, I thought it was tin.
Yeah. There was a huge copper breakout, like during like the Poldark time, I think. So it was like late 1700s, early 1800s, I think, was like this, like a big copper, what is it called? Boom. That's it. Yes, a boom. And then I think they've had tin all along, but I think the copper really broke out, and then eventually it stopped, and then lost their jobs.
Like, how far back do the mines go? I mean, not like into the mountain, but like how far back in history, like time-wise, how long were they mining? Because tin they used for a long time, didn't they?
I think so. Yeah. Like I want to say the 1600s, but I could be wrong. I think I remember that most of them were in the 1700s when like that industry started to boom and stuff, but I'm not positive.
How interesting.
You should ask me these questions beforehand, and then I can tell you all that I know.
I know. I'm sorry. You were like, what do I need to prepare? And I'm like, nothing. And now I'm all like, give me dates.
I know. And I'm so bad with all numbers, like ages, dates, time, anything. I
am too.
I'm so bad.
I am the worst.
It's hard.
I had a sister-in-law who could remember like even my husband's cousin's children, what time they were born. And I was like, insane. What is up? Like, I can really, to tell you the truth, I can't remember what time most of my children were born at. I'd have to consult their birth certificate.
Yep. That's why I have it all written down.
I know the day. That's pretty much all I need, right?
Exactly.
You get a cake, there are your balloons.
Happy birthday.
Exactly. You get a whole day. Thank goodness.
Yep. Yeah. We're such good moms.
I know. Well, you know what? I feed them. I clothe them.
See, what more can they want?
People are going to be like, she is like the worst mother ever. I will have you know, I was doing book reports, making games all evening last night.
Oh, that is a good mom.
sitting on the floor at my age last weekend making posters for student government. I am far too old to sit on a floor and make posters these days.
Sounds miserable.
I know. So anyone who thinks I'm a poor parent, sat on the floor for my kids. That is saying a lot these days. So, you know.
Funny.
Okay. I don't have any other Cornwall questions, especially any with like dates or anything hard like that.
That's good.
So what else do I need to know
about Cornwall?
Yes. I mean, when I go, I will be calling you to get a detailed description, but
good. Yes. Oh boy.
Do you know when you're going back?
Have
you got a plan yet?
No, it's probably going to be a couple years.
Yeah.
Probably.
Although you were just there in September, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to send my husband back every year so he can go and see his family and stuff. I mean, I'd love to go every year, but worst case scenario, he can go. But it's, I think it's probably going to be a few years. We went with our youngest was just a year and a half. And that was fine, but it wasn't like super fun because usually our youngest were usually like almost 2. And I found that is a very good age because they can kind of occupy themselves. And this little baby didn't take a binky ever. So she was crying and awake
on the flight.
Yes, that's the thing. Like, it's not hard in England to have the baby because we've got all the things to take care of him. But the flight, it was like, I am never doing this with a baby this age again, or without shoving a binky in their mouth, because she just would never take one. So I'm like, oh, it was worse. I woke up. I did not sleep on the flight. And I told my husband, I turned over and I was like, I will never do this again, ever.
Hey, you were the one, and I kept saying, my kids aren't old enough. Oh, it's fine. Kids are fine.
They are. And
the truth comes out.
No, and then we got to England and we're sitting in the Tesco parking lot, and my husband came out and then we started driving, and I'm like, this was worth it. I don't care that I didn't sleep the night before. This is so worth it. I'm going to do it 1,000 times again, but not with a baby that age.
So
not with a baby without a binky.
Bad.
Yes. Yes. Because honestly, our 2-year-old it's like having a 2-year-old would have been just fine. It would have been perfect. It was just because our 3-year-old was like, that's like a perfect age. Anything older than that, it's not even hard.
I know, we took them to Disneyland, and anytime they whined, I was like, you want to go to England? You are failing. This is the test. And you are currently failing the London or the England test. So zip it. Okay, sorry.
Gotta prove yourself.
You want to go to England? This is like, hello, it's Disney World. Why are you whining in Disney World?
Yeah.
What is there to whine about?
It makes no sense.
But there we go.
That's how we were in England too. Yeah. That's how, like, every single, like, if there was one hint of a whine, it's like, I was like, we spent way too much money to deal with this. Like, and it was, I understand, because we spent a lot of time in a lot of old bookstores that they were just not into. And so me and my husband would like rotate where we'd walk up and down the street with the kids while one person was inside and stuff. That was hard on them. But like, for the most part, it was like, this is really fun and you need to enjoy yourself.
I know. I said to my husband, I think we should go for like 6 weeks, and then you can stay at the Airbnb with the kids and like chill.
Yes.
And they can watch Peppa Pig in England and feel like super.
This is so cool.
One.
Yep.
And I'll go I'm like, because there's a poison garden that I really want to go to. Oh. But I'm pretty sure my touchy kids cannot go in the poison garden. So.
Probably not smart.
No. So I'm a touchy, but I know when not to touch. So I won't touch things, but them, no.
It's so funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been lovely.
It has been.
It's always fun to talk to you, though. I always have fun chatting with you.
I feel the same way about you. It's been too long. We need to make this like weekly.
We do. Okay, we will set it up.
Okay, great.
We'll just have to figure out things to talk about every week.
Yeah, like that's going to be hard.
I know, it's true. But maybe not things people want to hear about.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think people would really enjoy it.
There is. People would love it. Oh, Okay. All right. Well, I will wrap this up because we're now at 34 minutes and we're done with Cornwall. So now I'm just going to start to ramble. And that's
I'm never done with Cornwall.
It's true. It's true.
But
so
I agree.
If anything interesting comes up, I'll press record again and we'll do it as an addendum.
Perfect. I love it.
Deborah Hathaway on Cornwall addendum. So that's
addendum
what we'll do.
D, addendum E, addendum.
And we forgot this on the last one. That would be awesome. Anyway, thank you, Deborah, for coming and joining me.
You are welcome. Thank you for having me.
Always wonderful. We'll figure something else out to talk about and have her back again. So thanks all for listening. And don't forget to subscribe. More audiobooks. See, more audiobooks are being added all the time. So if you subscribe, you'll know when they are all added. Thanks a lot, and we will see you later. Bye.